features for full body tracking under the hood still, because that's something that they took out a long
Just
time
Full
posted
ago.
body
it in the
tracking?
Telegram.
I don't
Yeah,
think I
dude.
follow. I don't remember that feature.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
All
they
right, got some more
they
people.
dude.
Hey
If
guys,
you go
gonna
into
be
certain
starting up any
worlds,
second
you
now.
can see
Patrick.
animations of people dancing. Oh yeah, I gotta get on
Someone's
stage.
cutting in and
We'll
out
chat with you
really
about it
bad.
afterwards. We'll have a good chat about it.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? I don't know. That was my guess. Hey guys, we're gonna be
Yes.
streaming this. Mind you, this will be live.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Yeah,
just
thanks for
turned up.
stopping
Okay, in
by.
the middle
And
spots. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get this stream started.
hey, wait, give me a moment. I'm gonna drop you a link over Discord.
Ready?
Now you
I
need a
already
second,
started it.
Patrick? Wow.
Oh, you already did?
Yeah, go ahead and just send it.
Okay. Once Brave stuff's glitching out. Come on now.
I hope everyone had a
Please
good day
begin.
today.
And I hope, thank you, all you Alex, Half-Life Alex users that stopped by. I know it's really hard to take off the headset to come into alt space for this, but we appreciate you being here. How many people have gotten Half-Life Alex? Let me see some emojis if you got Half-Life Alex. You talk. Nobody? Interesting. All right, let's get this started. Welcome to the Blockchain Universe Gamers podcast. My name's Jerome.
My name's Jerome. Just kidding, it's Annalise.
I am Brian.
And Patrick
Well,
is
that guy
dead.
in
Yeah.
So, here we are.
AFK.
And we're going to go ahead and start talking about blockchain gaming. Personally, I've not seen anything crazy this week, so I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know what you guys have been seeing because the entire news has been about Corona. So, anybody got any interesting stories for me?
Yes, I definitely do.
Go for it.
Well, in fact, we have been experiencing a lot of new movements in the blockchain gaming space revolving around the sandbox and how they've raised $2 million for support of their development ecosystem, also developer tools. So that's also something pretty cool. Have you guys ever looked into the sandbox? Ever created a user at all?
I've definitely checked out the website and the customized creator, but I haven't actually dived into setting up an actual character that's nothing more than just like a blob of colors. So it's definitely something I plan on checking out. I know they just had a contest for it the other week for like $20,000 worth of prizes. So definitely something for me to look into in the near future for any potential future events like that.
Yep. So Nine Lives just went into their closed alpha. It's called Nine Lives Arena, which is pretty good. Another RPG on the blockchain that's actually photorealistic and it's kind of like a AAA sort of like RPG hack and slash type of game
Hmm.
where it's primarily PvP oriented. I think that's pretty sick in it.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like Mortal Kombat in the 1v1 kind of combat system, but then as well as
Uh-huh.
you were saying with the RPG elements as you level up and you get new skills, and then you can level up those skills and get armor and equipment to, raise your performance level, and then you go into the arena and, fight and use your abilities. I think it's a really good game. I played it during the closed beta a few months ago, and I was really impressed with the graphics and the content that was there at the time. So I, expect that they've added quite a bit since then and will continue to add quite a bit in the near future. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah, totally. So how about we talk about how AI is actually moving forward, detecting coronavirus faster than doctors can diagnose it. What do you guys think about that?
I haven't heard about
Hmm.
that
Neither have I.
personally.
That sounds really interesting.
So,
I'd love to
yeah, it
hear
does sound
more.
Yeah, man.
interesting.
Um, I believe Cortana and Siri are doing questionnaires as well for people that might have symptoms or people that are trying to self-diagnose before going to the hospital as well. So that's in
Okay,
general
I mean,
AI
I've
that's
seen
doing that as well.
there's an app, like a doctor app that does something very similar. That's what I figured when you like met AI, but like so I mean that's the same thing essentially that they do when you go to the drive-throughs. There's been pop-up drive-through that they have been putting, and they ask you a questionnaire before you actually get tested to see if you meet certain qualifications. So I mean that's pretty cool. I don't know. I feel like it was already kind of there because I saw it on a doctor app a couple weeks ago. So I feel like now I guess they're just starting to talk about it, but I don't know. I guess it's the same thing. It's just a general guideline that they give them and feed them. I'm not impressed. Sorry.
It's all good, but it's still AI. I mean, like it plays a part
It's
in this
cool. Don't get me
whole
wrong.
yeah bigger
It's cool.
picture.
I love AI. AI is cool. But I don't know. I feel like even the doctor apps, like they have their own built-in AIs that kind of do it, and they do that same thing for like flu, influenza. So it's not a new concept necessarily. Um, so yeah, I don't know. What they really need to do is just get like a grasp on the situation, mostly because of the economy right now. People are like, aiming towards a recession. They're saying that this is going to be worse than the Great Depression at this rate. And I mean, it really depends because people still have bills to pay and they're shutting down businesses. Some people lost their jobs. They can't get a hold on the bill. So like, I don't know. I feel like that's where the eyes are on with this whole coronavirus thing.
I guess for the most part. Um, Speaking of which, there's a whole stimulus package. I wonder how that's going to affect the tech industry. What's going to come out of that? So
Apple just dropped their new Air Mac, and apparently they're going back in time with like the whole keyboard situation, and it's a really cool design and cost on it. So
yeah, the cost is highly affordable.
Sorry.
It's
Whoops, I don't know what happened. Am I back on? Can you hear me? Okay, sorry.
yeah, you never
My
left.
mic cut out. Oh,
No,
I didn't?
yeah,
Oops.
you never, yeah, your mic didn't ever glitch or anything. Anyway, so yeah, the
Thanks,
pricing is
Patrick.
actually
Thanks.
pretty affordable. I'm surprised. And not only that, you don't even have to stop by the Apple store. They're just going to start shipping them. It's pretty cool. I like, how they're bringing back the most uh, feature-rich and most slim design. It's actually a fan favorite, a cult classic, that
It
MacBook
is.
Air.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that, but I don't think tech is gonna particularly slow down because tech when it expands linearly. Like I don't know if you saw Elon Musk had to now start in production for like respirators in California, and he delivered 1,000 respirators. And then I think the senator or the governor gave him the okay to like do more. So that way it kind of keeps his facility open, so where Tesla can still innovate, make cars, do this and the third, and his business can keep going while at the same time becoming an essential business. So he's giving stuff that people need. I'm finding a lot of companies are doing that just to stay open, and I feel like that technology is not going to necessarily take a halt in this situation. I feel like it can grow linearly to this current economy.
Yeah,
Patrick, did you
no
die?
doubt. No, I didn't die.
Okay. Okay. Is anyone alive? It's just me and you right
I'm
now.
here.
Like, right?
I love that you guys brought that up, and even though that has nothing really to do with blockchain, it's still fascinating as
It's
so
current
many
events.
industries are. Yeah, it's current events, but it's just interesting to see that interoperation and more companies are working together, volunteering to make ventilators and help with the supplies that are needed to be able to help the industries that need the most right now in this crisis. And uh, I'm curious if any of you have seen any blockchain companies that have gotten in on this crisis and done anything to really help resolve.
I saw a commercial from IBM the other day. They put out a blockchain commercial. It was about the supply chain and how blockchain helps the supply chain. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So, I mean, I definitely think that they're pushing for the tech in general. I mean, that's what I've seen so far. And of course, supply chain is going to be really messy now that people are hiring in that field. If you go to Publix, anywhere that sells anything, they're looking for people to help them. Even Elon Musk said he'll hire at Tesla just to keep people on the lines. So I mean, it's something that's needed in supply chain right now, but will they take the time to implement it? Maybe this is a good time for them. Maybe it's not because it's hectic. So I feel wary about it, I guess.
You know, I have seen Tron, the Justin Sun project, start making some serious moves when it comes down to shipping supplies to Wuhan. So I think that's pretty cool. But
I don't know.
other
I feel
than
like
that,
Justin sends 50-50 in the community right now with the whole Steam It and Hive thing and censoring on Steam It too.
yeah, well, of course, he's got a bigger agenda that he's working with and working for, you know. So, yeah,
How do you think
it,
that'll
it,
affect the games that run off of Steam It, like in this whole like
Well,
censorship situation?
before even talking about how it'll affect it, for people that have no idea what you're talking about, please break it down.
can I elaborate? Because I'm actually highly involved in the Steam
Go for it.
community.
Go for it.
All right. So I broadcast my music over MSP Waves, and after I went on to showcase some of my tracks, they had a town hall literally discussing the entire breakdown of what happened, how Nets sold Steam it to Justin Sun, and then a bunch of Korean developers and people that were involved in the Korean community for the Steam ecosystem literally started a revolt and started planning this Hive.io hard fork. So, literally, Justin Sun decided to take the entire repository that was supposed to belong to the Steam development community, and then literally, developers started resigning on the spot as soon as he had access to those keys and started capitalizing on that repository. So, yeah, Koreans decided to take up the reins to fork the network and then literally fork Justin Sun out of the platform to do so. And here we are with Hive.io and Steam is still fully functioning, but Justin Sun does not have, any keys. He's been hard forked out of the network.
Interesting. Okay. So I mean, Hive's the one for right now.
Yep, I guess. I mean, it depends on what the exchanges choose to support. Because, of course, we all know that exchanges are the new middleman, the price gouging mafia. So, yep.
And then, how
Hmm.
do you feel it's going to affect the gaming across the Steam It community?
It should be fine according to
Well,
that, honestly.
yeah, it really should be fine. It's going to be business as usual when it comes to the gaming aspect because a lot of these blockchain games are going to become blockchain agnostic to the point where they don't even care about what blockchain they're getting paid in as long as their value is being respected in Satoshis. So, yeah. Or a stable coin, regardless of which.
Hmm. Yeah, as long as it's in a, convertible or tradable currency, I think it'll be fine. Because I know a few examples, like Drug Wars is one that I still primarily play using the Steemit blockchain that has a few payouts of its own in-game token as well as some Steemit token. I think they might have even changed it from Steemit into something else, which I'm not sure exactly how that works, but as long as it's able to be converted from the in-game token or whatever asset they're giving out to something that, as you said, can be traded for Satoshi or just converted to whatever you need it to, then I don't think they'll mind too much. I know I personally wouldn't, as long as the payout still keeps coming.
So something that I just kind of want to touch on that I thought was interesting was it the Senate town hall where they were talking about making a digital currency for USD and exchange digital, you know, wallets and stuff. Like, what do you guys think about that?
It's redundant and stupid because fractional reserve lending already serves as a digital dollar. It's really just a way to make it now that they have even more power and centralize it away from the hands of the other middlemen like PayPal and like Zelle and etc. And just literally can consolidate all that power into one giant federal bot. Well, not even federal at that point. Private institution. It, that wants to do it, of course, under the guise of the federal government. So yeah, it's completely redundant.
So I think the only reason that they're trying to do this is when it comes to that whole, giving the U.S. citizens, X amount of money. I feel like this is a way that they're trying to distribute that money. That I think that was one of the suggestions as to why. I do think it's redundant because you can use a system, but also this would be easier on their end just to just logistic wise, instead of giving it to someone else. It would come directly from them. So I kind of like what they're doing if they go about it with the intention of doing what they would want to do, which is give citizens X amount of money, whether it's 1,000, 2,000, because their original thought was, I think, giving it to businesses, and then the businesses distribute an employee's regular wage. But then that's a kind of tricky thing, because what is an employee's regular wage? Waitresses get $4 an hour, meanwhile someone else may get $30 an hour, so it wouldn't make sense. So I don't know, I just thought that was an interesting concept for what they're trying to do with this whole stuff that's going on right now. But it is redundant if they when you point out Zelle and all these other, digital monetary, systems of exchanges. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just my thought with this whole thing. So
I mean,
any of you guys?
when it comes back to the root of the issue, it's going to have to do with how this scary, virus thing is affecting the cash units, the physical, tangible cash units.
Right.
They don't want people carrying around these bills. They've been trying to push for this cashless society thing for a long time. And, there are other systems that have been sort of like, stopping them from underpinning that goal of centralized digital currency, such as, of course, Bitcoin and blockchain and all these other databases that operate fully transparently. I do think that if they do come out with this digital dollar, that's going to be a fairly obscure ledger that's going to be centralized, and people aren't actually going to know who has how much of it. And they want to keep it like a private coin to a certain extent on the Explorer. So now people won't know, besides the overreaching powers that be, that could quite possibly drain your account if you do something wrong, sort of like what goes on in China with social credit scoring and whatnot. But yeah, that's just my, prognosis.
Oh yeah, if they do this, there's going to be a lot of regulation that's going to come with it. It would be easier to seize trafficked money wallets if they have access to the entire back system. But also, like, would they keep it as a central unit? Would they decentralize it and have certain servers and things running in different places? Like, I feel like they would try to keep it safe in one spot, but then that would leave some aspect of vulnerability if they do. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for compromise. It's definitely a lot easier to move something that's physical and tangible and not connected to any government specifically, besides where it's from. But yeah, I don't know. I do see that area of concern.
Yep. I mean, if it weren't for KYC, that factor that you mentioned at the end wouldn't even be a thing. Like, if it
Right.
weren't for services like, chain analysis, really just making sure that they know exactly where what transaction is coming from and where it's going, then it wouldn't really be that much of an issue, honestly. And
Yeah, since we are saying that it's redundant also because, why not just use another cryptocurrency? But they're not going to do that, obviously. It's something that they don't have control over, something that they don't have, central authority over. Of course, U.S. government's going to make their own thing. So some of like, oh, do USDT. And I'm like, no, they're not going to give anything to Tether. Like, it has to be their own U.S. whatever. So
I
I don't
actually
know. We'll
heard
see what
that
happens.
I've actually heard that USDT has been co-opted by senators in open operation trading.
Hmm.
I have. I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that they have been doing under the table deals with government officials to pump up the price of Bitcoin willy-nilly, and it's almost as bad as insider trading.
Yeah, I've been
But
seeing a lot of
that's
that. Senators
uh-huh.
that are dunking their stocks before Corona happened, but some of them are coming out saying that like they don't have control over their brokerage. Which how many of us really believe that?
Not I don't. But the ex-CEO backed literally did capitalize on this latest downtrend on Bitcoin, and also she sold and bought a bunch of other stock. And I'm pretty sure that that shouldn't be possible, but it is apparently because she did it, and she's a freshman. It's absurd.
So another thing that I'm thinking about, since we're talking about politicians, and I see that some of them are now coming down with Corona. Has anybody seen anybody in the blockchain space announcing that they have Corona?
Well, actually, not yet, but apparently, I believe that there was a hackathon that took place, and it spread there. It spread right through the crowd.
At
And
the
Vitalik,
hackathon?
yeah, and Vitalik Buterin was there too. And this was for the Ethereum ecosystem. Trying to remember what event this was. I pulled up the
Was
information.
that East Denver?
Well, I will
Was that the
invite.
last event that Vitalik was at?
I think so.
I don't know if Vitalik was at, but I know that that was the last Ethereum event that I heard of before Corona really took off.
Dang. Well, yeah, that's true. But dang, that's crazy. Man, people at hackathons are really nice. I don't know if anyone in the crowd has ever been to a hackathon or anyone who's watching, but hackathons are really cool. They're fun. They're tiring. Poor kids.
For those that haven't,
Poor nerds.
tell us what it is and what your experience was like at the hackathon you went to.
So the hackathon. What are you, a reporter? Anyways, so the hackathon one of them, anyways, because I've been to a few, but I think my favorite one was probably the one that we did at the Blockchain Center for Miami Blockchain Week. Hackathon is essentially where you code on top of, a blockchain, let's say Bitcoin, for example, and you write your own code to, whatever assessment they give you. So you may be able to write a code to run off the Bitcoin blockchain to assist a humanitarian cause. So let's say that we're going to send a seamless payment through like text message, and basically you'd have to code that and make it a functioning product for the most part. So like one of my friends did a code that you can text to a volcano. If you guys don't know what a volcano is, it's one of those things that vaporizes weed, and you makes a little bag. So you could send a text message to a volcano, and the volcano, after you paid your amount in Bitcoin, the volcano would turn on, essentially. Like, some cool little shit. But that's essentially what you do at hackathon. You pick a topic, you pick a thing, and then you make it. But yeah, and then obviously whoever has the best one wins. So yeah, hackathons are pretty cool. Most of them give up to one entire BTC, which is awesome, and then they break it down, first, second, third place. They get less, of course, but yeah, if you haven't been to a hackathon and you know how to code, definitely go to one because they're super awesome. So, and they feed you for free.
Yeah, that's the best part. They are free for the most part, and they're
Free food
typically
is always
followed by.
awesome.
Yeah, for sure, and they're typically followed by a major event. So
After parties are the best part.
hmm.
No, you don't like after parties, Patrick? What was that noise?
No, I'm still looking for this article right now.
Which, okay. Well, I don't know. Besides, let's say, besides Corona and all this stuff, I think I had something in my head, but I completely forgot what it was about. Does anybody have any other news or topic that we should discuss?
Well, I do want to mention the fact that Half-Life Alex is actually going to be modded for people to play outside of VR. I think that's going to be kind of cool.
That's cool.
In fact, I think that's what should have happened at launch. But they really just want to emphasize the fact that people would want to play this in VR, that they should play this in VR because VR is where the market is evolving and headed. So.
Yeah, I was reading up a bit on that. Apparently, the team over at Valve commented that they thought that was, cool that someone, people are already working on a mod for it to be put into a, 2D playable mode. And that, as you said, it's really going to express why, they made it in VR in the first place and why they made it VR only as opposed to something that, has a VR mode or, was built up from VR and then made a 2D mode in it or made two separate versions or whatever. They really believe in the VR technology behind it and the creation that they made of having it be fully integrated with this new technology. And as someone who's been a huge supporter of VR for the past handful of years and really excited and hopeful of the titles that have been coming out over the past year or two, it's definitely a wonderful game, as expected of a Half-Life title and a Valve created VR game. But just everything from it, from the graphics to the gameplay, is just something that I'm really hoping to see repeated a lot more from other titles that come out in the near future, and really kind of marks a new kind of point of VR titles and what they can be, as opposed to these 20, 30, $40 2 3 hour really short kind of content lacking titles into more fully developed AAA, full studio working on games that people can sit down and play for days or weeks or months or however long. So I'm definitely looking
Yeah,
forward to
not just
that.
rhythm games too.
Mhm.
Not just because that's what I've seen most uh, on in the industry is rhythm games.
Well, you got
Those
what,
have
Beat
been getting the
Saber, then
most
Audica, you
attention.
got O Shape, and you got
Yeah, of course,
Pistol
but
Whip,
like
and
is yeah, but it seems like that's been like the most popular genre when it comes to driving the immersion factor for this sector is rhythm games, and I
hmm
think they're beating a dead horse, honestly.
I think it's the fact that it's there's not a lot of movement. You can really focus the graphics to just one scene that maybe changed through the course of the song, but isn't nearly as complex or as in detail as something like Half Life or Boneworks or
Hmm.
any of these newer Stormland or these not quite AAA title, but at least more on the major release side of VR games, which is what what I've seen from comments and reviews and a lot of that, especially from the Star Wars trilogy that came out. A lot of the consumers and users are looking for something more for their money, as opposed to just short little mini games that you spend 15 30 minutes in at a time, as opposed to like a regular game where you can sit down and just play it for 4 5 6 hours, which I've heard a lot of people say that Half-Life and a lot of these bigger, more detailed games are able to immerse them enough to be capable of spending that much time in the headset, which is nice.
I believe as well. What's going on with Jerome? He's jumping all over the table and whatnot. Annalise, you there?
Yes, I am here. I'm alive.
Yeah,
I
but
am
is
listening.
for sure. But is Jerome in the same room as you? Or
Hmm.
is
No,
he?
no,
Okay.
we're not. We're not in the
All
same
right.
room. We're
Well,
actually not even on the same headset. Did you know that?
Yeah, of
Woo!
course not.
I'm
All right.
here. Just had some technical
Oh man.
difficulties.
it
You know
happens.
what? This wine is hitting like something else.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just chilling, dude. Are you guys chilling too? I'm chilling mad hard.
Yeah, I'm zoning. In fact, I
In
really want to
fact,
chat about what's been going on with this whole festival season since the coronavirus is like, you know,
what festivals?
well, a lot of festivals have been canceled outright, like Miami Ultra, for instance. But of course, that's old news. I want to talk about a solution that a business partner and I have proposed. We're actually working on a plan for. We already have the domain and the servers and everything, and also we're going to be mining cryptocurrency in the background. And yeah, it's going to be integrating with the entertainment industry, and also we might be doing some concerts through VR, such as this medium here. What's going on with AltSpace? Reggie Watts used to do shows through AltSpace. Why not bring concerts to this medium? I mean, there's also concerts happening inside of Minecraft as well.
That's
And
cool.
I think that's pretty interesting. But why not actually do it through a virtual reality platform? You know, like Minecraft is just like voxel based space. You know, it's not really immersive. You can't like put on a headset and like dive in like you're actually there at a physical concert.
Well, if
I
you want
think
to give a large example, they had from some, I forgot when it was last year, they did in Fortnite that Marshmallow concert that was, resounding success as far as the amount of, people that showed up as far as like a 5-10 minute, little event, which, I mean, obviously that's not like a regular thing or whatnot, but just as far as taking this media, and not only that, but like
yeah, but
Oculus
that's not VR
venues
at
and
all.
yeah, no, but you were saying like the Minecraft
Yeah,
concerts,
true.
so I
Yep,
was just in a
exactly.
digital format as opposed to like in person. And then
Mm-hmm.
as I was saying, like I don't know if any of you have checked out like the Oculus venues app, or where you go and they have the live events that you can put on the headset and see happening. They've had concerts through that form and whatnot, which obviously with all these live events getting canceled, they might have to change things up. But it's a interesting pathway for moving people from actually going out and attending these in person to just putting on a headset or sitting at their computer and being able to enjoy the events all the same.
Yep,
And you were
I
talking about
completely
doing
agree.
like bands and stuff like that earlier. I saw that there's some bands that are doing events in Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, and they're all free events. And why not just pull those API keys or stream keys and broadcast them through a third-party medium, and also allow people to dedicate a bit of their resources to mining a cryptocurrency in the background for the service instead of them having to see ads. So it's just something that is completely possible and something that I'm going to start building a team to commit to for this project, and we'll see where it goes.
Totally, dude. Sounds amazing. You guys should do it.
Uh
Powering you
huh.
now. Oh man.
Well,
Well, anyways, guys, I hope your lives are going great. Cause yeah, here we are.
I mean,
We need to do more
um,
events. We should do more events in VR. VR is fun, you guys. I love
hmm
VR.
for sure, we should.
All
And in
right, looks
fact,
like Gerard has a question.
yeah, let's go
Who
ahead
has a
and unmute
question?
him. Gerard.
If you guys have any questions in the crowd, feel free to chime in.
So the crowd should be unmuted. Go ahead and speak your mind if you can.
I guess
Says he's
not.
personally muted. I don't know if someone has to unmute him or if he's able to. Or
Everybody should be unmuted now.
Yeah,
Yeah, no one should be muted.
I'm trying to hit the mute button, and it's grayed
No,
out. I can't.
everyone's pretty. If anyone wants to talk, everyone's unmuted, so they
It's
should be
open
fine.
now. Open mic. Enjoy. I don't think he could talk. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well,
He,
let's wrap it up here.
okay. Well.
Unless anybody else has any other subjects that they want to bring up.
No, everything's on lockdown, which is a very unfortunate part of the situation. Companies are at a standstill. I've been seeing just a slow in production, just overall with crypto companies. They're trying to be more remote, and I feel like people are getting into the I guess remote process right now. We're still at like phase one of this whole thing, depending where you are. Obviously, if you're in China, you're way past phase one. But like here in the US, we're still at phase one, and I feel like people are still in the process of transitioning, and everything's running janky right now, which is why most things that you'll see is either current events about the pandemic, um, a little bit of tech news here and there. Apple was really like the wow tech news of the week. Everything else I've seen is mostly comparisons and little things here and there. But I feel like people right now are just trying to focus on prepping themselves, which has slowed production overall. I've talked to some individuals out in the community who are in LA on lockdown, or even remote work is scarce depending on how your company actually works. So I feel like everyone's just in that transition phase right now where things are just kind of really slow overall. So I don't
Totally.
know.
Hey, did you know that every 2 minutes in Italy, a person dies from coronavirus? And in
Are you
fact,
serious?
NVIDIA, yeah, for sure. And NVIDIA called
Yeah,
everybody
for
to
sure.
contribute unused GPU and CPU power to dedicate to a pool called Folding at Home to help scientists research this and whatnot. So it's there's a way for people to help out and
Really? So
work
if
from
I
home.
send my GPU power, they're gonna use it to
To
power this pole.
model people, no, to just actually model the virus and just find a way to predict mutations and quite possibly develop a vaccine faster. So
So
yeah.
I heard something very interesting regarding the vaccine. I just kind of want to bring this up real quick. I don't know. I'm not, too into conspiracy theories, but like this was something very interesting that I heard. So everyone's heard about that Into the Eyes of the Dark, that whole book talking about the virus, Wuhan, blah, 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 which is where everyone's thinking one conspiracy is. The other option was bats. But there was a doctor who did a little research and he made a video and put it out about this regarding the virus. Because, I mean, the virus relatively is weak, which is why going outside, like in the sun, I think is fine. Because one, the UV ray lights kills it. I don't know if you guys know phone soap, but there are a box where UV ray lights hit your phone and it sanitizes your phone and it kills corona because of the UV. They're also sanitized in hospitals and other, medical facilities with UV ray light because it does kill corona. So anything past like 80 degrees for long periods of time also kills it, according to just some facts that I read about it. But relatively, when you think about it, it's weak. It's just really rough when it gets inside your body and it attacks, your lungs. So there was a doctor who did a research and saw that there was a U.S. patent against corona, which is not unusual. Usually, drug companies, when there's a new virus or a bacteria that might cause harm, they patent that virus or bacteria and then create a vaccine and patent that and so on and so forth. But it was a U.S. patent and it's from 2006. Now there are like several deviations of the coronavirus, so it could be the corona family that was patented, and this just so happens to fall into the corona family, which is how I thought, okay, well that's a coincidence, right? So then after that there was another patent that was made and granted actually last year in 2019 from the UK, making a vaccine for the virus, but they're saying that specifically for this strand. And then someone else was saying that that's why they're trying to get kids out of school because they're trying to, vaccinate them, pharmaceutical industry, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people are saying that this is a pharmaceutical industry kind of move, is what I'm hearing. So I don't know. I thought that one was interesting, but it has nothing to do with China technically. So that's also is it? Like, I don't know. So I don't know. A lot of conspiracies going around, but I thought that one was interesting.
That is interesting.
Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. DYOR.
yeah,
Do
for
your own
sure. Hey,
research,
but
guys. That's what it all comes down
you
to, whether it's in regards to health services or financial services.
yeah, for sure. Hey, but there's something you brought up about this virus is that it
Sure.
actually dies off faster in above 80-degree weather. There's actually been data that proves that that's not actually true. I mean, like the Philippines is like on lockdown. Like, not we're not even taking those sort of measures here in America. Like they've locked down their entire country, and that's a tropical climate. Like it, I don't think weather is actually a factor in the data, like at all.
So what I'm hearing is it comes to like certain objects because different objects. So if something's on metal, it needs a lot higher temperature to die on metal. Like I think it depends on where it is, from what I'm hearing, because it doesn't last on your hands for very long. It only like it lasts for like 5 to 10 minutes, from what I'm hearing. which is why you're not supposed to touch your face and you're supposed to wash your hands immediately and blah blah blah. That's where that whole thing comes from, because it doesn't actually live too long on your body unless it finds a cell host to attach to. So I don't know. I don't think it just has to do with the climate in general and the temperature in general. I think there's certain, I guess, things that come with it. Like it's 80 degrees and above, and or if like it's like a positive negative kind of thing. I don't know, but that's just from some things that I'm seeing. But I mean, people being outside other people, near people, obviously if it comes in contact with you fast enough before the virus does die off, then that's it. That's all it needs. At least if it has a host, it has a host. It'll thrive.
Yeah. The numbers are getting a little ridiculous and scary. I just hope that Wall Street doesn't try to sacrifice America to the virus just to keep everything business as usual, which is kind of what I'm seeing right now. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard about the whole thing. China didn't have any new cases, and then as soon as they sent people back to work, now they went from 0 to 78. So here's another thing.
I don't trust those numbers at all. I don't trust the CCP's numbers at all, what they're saying. So.
Well, there's been theories that there might be a second wave if people go, back and start interacting with each other, I guess, too quickly, right? So I guess the purpose of that would be showing that people are interacting too quickly. Even if it was like, if they went to let's say they did go to 0, right? Let's say they shut down their last hospital, there's articles been about it, whatever. Let's say that did happen. And then, out of nowhere, people start going back to work, they interact, boom, even if 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 people showed up, maybe not even 78, those are new cases that they now have reported for the first time, which would make that whole thing about second waves, which doctors and scientists do mention, if people do interact, too quickly, true. Which then causes for the virus to go through further mutation, because after a while, after one host gets it and it further mutates, then at that point in time, your body is no longer susceptible to it, and then you do have to, get a new cure or work on something else, because it might not have the same abilities as the last virus. So I don't know. I think that one's interesting. And could it happen here? Because I know Trump wants people to go back to work as soon as possible. That's also another thought.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, guys.
That was a question. Wow. You guys hate me. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, what's up, Zap? Good to see you here, buddy.
Hello.
Of course, we got Matt over there in the corner. I feel you. Yeah, I'm digging your energies, guys. I'm digging them.
Thanks, Matt, for staying all the way through. Can't really hear you, Zap, but I think it's perfect that we got to have this conversation, from separate parts of the world virtually. I love being able to do this and coming back with you guys. See you guys again every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I'm Jerome from Bits and Tokens.
Brian from Block D Central. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see you all at our next event. Take it easy.